Nah. Because tell me why I'm doing gardening now. Was this the best thing Nintendo could come up with when trying to sell their new console? Pikmin is a game about war and the consequences of your actions. Every single one of those Pikmin that you lost while trying to recover the parts that only benefit you was because of your doing. Their blood is in your hands, you selfish bastard. You drown, you throw things around, and you wonder how the hell Olimar was allowed to pilot a rocket when his eyes are more closed than a blockbuster. It is a mildly successful series from Nintendo that I never played and never planned on playing until I realized that I needed a video for the week and the newest thing that was out was fucking Pikmin 1 and 2. So here I am now, playing Pikmin because there is generally nothing better to do and Bleach doesn't come out for another week.
Desperation can drive any man to do crazy shit. In my case, I'm gonna touch grass.
Your objective in Pikmin is simple. You broke your rocket because of reckless driving and need to repair it before you suffocate in the toxic atmosphere of the Earth. This isn't spelling good stuff for our future. To help you in your quest are the Pikmin, which are like the bottom of the food chain and the bottom of some of these animals. Pikmin are how you can get anything done in these games. They are your method of attack and your method of carrying stuff back to your ship. Throw them at anything and they will attack it until it's dead or they're dead. There is no in between. There's the yellow ones, which can get thrown higher and bomb better, the blue ones which can swim, and the red ones which are stronger and immune to fire, and together they make La Bandera de Venezuela! You can have about 100 of these bastards at a time, so you really have to think on which ones you're going to need, and there will be some occasions in which one of them will prove more useful than the others. And in many other occasions you will use the blue Pikmin and nothing else. The final area you unlock is literally a giant water level, and a bunch of the parts in the other two levels are locked behind water. I think that there was a bit of a balancing issue towards the end of development if you ask me. 30 parts to collect and 30 days to collect them all. Good luck, have fun. This is the setup for the game, and from then on, how you handle on this entire situation is entirely up to you. I'm not a person to play strategy games. Matter of fact, I'm also not a person that will play games that have time limits on them. But something about the way that Pikmin executes its ideas makes me like it a lot. Pikmin is a game that feels very good to master, slowly understanding the mechanics of the game and better planning what you will do on each individual day, and actually pulling it off feels super satisfying. At the beginning of the adventure, I was struggling in many aspects. The first couple of days in Pikmin were essentially me trying to figure out how everything in this world functioned and trying to keep up with the clock as much as possible due to a fear of me not having enough time in the later parts of the game to collect the remaining parts if I happened to miss one of them. In my head, I was focusing too much on the time limit and trying to optimize everything to its natural maximum point. However, that was a skill that I needed to gain through practice, and that is exactly what happened. I got in on the kitchen and started cooking some devious recipes. I started becoming smoother, faster, better optimized, and from one part a day, I started getting 2 parts a day. And at some point near the end of my adventure, I started getting 3 or more parts for the dolphin. I started mastering the art of the Pikmin. I understood how to control the Pikmin, and it felt super satisfying. Different from how getting good at other games would normally feel. If those Pikmin died, it was in your hands. There is no one here to blame but yourself. It was your planning that got us stuck in this mess. War never. Exploring the world was a very fun process as well. Something about exploring the world through the eyes of like a fucking ant is surprisingly interesting. I think that the level design is very solid. And Liquid,
I had to do it!
The world is simple to explore, it's very digestible. You won't get flashbanged by an open playground in which you don't know in which direction to start at the beginning of the game, but instead you carefully get fed the right amount of information at the beginning of the game, which will be essential in helping you learn the mechanics and becoming better at the game. The first area and to some extent the second area both have somewhat linear designs. There will be many places which you can't access thanks to the many different hazards you aren't equipped to handle just yet, and as a result the game will guide you down a certain path until you get all the Pikmin necessary. Once you find all the Pikmin types, the game truly opens up. The first 2 areas have more places to explore, and eventually you will get to the last area, which is a giant open area which will put to the test everything that you've learned in the game. It even introduces certain puzzles in which you throw the Pikmin into certain flowers which will change their color, which is a really cool concept that only ever gets used like once in a game. This world is really charming. Overall, I feel like the game has a very unique presentation that makes it stand out from other Nintendo games, and even to this day, it is a game that looks very damn good. Despite all the praising, I do have a couple of issues with the game. Actually, probably just one, and that is these fucking idiots! There have been many occasions in which I'm just trying to cross somewhere and I move and command them in the most careful way possible, only for them to just throw themselves in the water and drown. What are you doing? It's like they spread wider than the damn wall of China when we were crossing the tiniest piece of land known to man. I ain't even sad that you died like that. You deserve it, honestly. Also, sometimes I call my Pikmin so they come back to me and they start looking at a piece of grass or something like that. So when I whistle at them to get their asses over here where I'm at, they will do it for all 2 seconds and get back to what the hell they're doing. So, I guess my only complaint is that the AI of the Pikmin is fucking stupid. Oh, and before I forget, the bosses! Yeah, this game has some bosses. They're just there in the map, chilling, waiting to give me a jump scare in some occasions, goddamn. They're pretty fun. They all have some sort of part to the ship that's required to move on. So they are pretty important as a whole, but they're not too overwhelming to fight. But they made me realize just how shit I am at the game. Those Pikmin dropped like flies when I sent them to the battlefields. They will forever have the memories of those violent battles ingrained in their memories. Or not, I don't know. It doesn't really seem like they have any sort of thinking capacity. I think that Pikmin 1 is actually a pretty good game. I wasn't really expecting to like it as much as I did. And I probably kind of will try to play the rest of the series now. Especially since Pikmin 4 is coming out very soon. Well, that's all the time that I've had for today. I'm just a random stranger you met on the internet. But hey, just call me Pseudo.